Psychological thriller anime picks and borrows tropes from various other genres, ranging from mystery, suspense, to horror. This kind of anime series focuses less on physical trauma, and instead on the mental state of its characters, and the audience. For anime fans, there are some pretty good psychological thrillers to watch. Here are top 10 dark psychological thrillers that will really mess with your mind. So, sit back and relax and watch as we go through some of the finest offering of the genre. Number 10. Psychopaths. In a dystopian Japan, the so-called Sybil system, an autarkic omnipresent surveillance framework, controls the lives of the country's population in the pursuit of optimal happiness. It monitors aptitude, potential, and psychic health of its inhabitants. By means of the psychopaths, an individual psychological fingerprint, stress levels are measured and preemptive measures are taken, should a citizen display anomalous behavior such as depression, or the intent latency to commit a crime. The latter finds expression in a number called the crime coefficient, a characteristic showing the latent criminal potential of a person. Once this number surpasses a certain threshold, this person is branded as criminal. There is virtually no chance of reducing this number again. Set against this background, a crime unit investigates into a series of murders that set the stage for what I find to be one of the most compelling and complex anime series in recent years. Number 9. Death Parade. This anime is a treat for all the psychological thriller lovers out there. This anime explores the question of what happens to the human when they die. There is a sleek tall bartender who receives people who have nearly departed and asks them to play some games, which in turn helps him to decide the fact that who should be sent to hell and who should be reported to heaven. These games range from blowing darts to building a castle of cards, but it tests the player's true self and how they treat people even after their death. This psychological thriller anime is set in a dark bar where there are numerous characters to root for. This anime stretches to the end, and you can find yourself relating to the character's self and asking yourself questions regarding your own choices that you make. Number 8. Paranoia Agent. The story begins with a doll maker named Tsukiko, who constantly feels pressure at her workplace. Then one night, Tsukiko is attacked by an evil grinning kid with gold rollerblades and a baseball bat. Tsukiko wakes up in a hospital, and it seems the attack has changed her. But did it change her for better or for worse? As two Japanese detectives are brought in on the case, they discover a rash of other assaults from various other people who range from a snobbish elementary school kid, a nosy tabloid reporter, a crooked cop, a teacher with a double identity disorder, and so on. Besides almost suffering from nervous breakdowns and strings of paranoia, they all have one other thing in common: their assailant is the same person who attacked Tsukiko, the kid with golden rollerblades. At first, the two detectives can't find any connection to the attacks, but as they dwell a little deeper, one of the cops starts to see a pattern of behavior between the victims and their assailant. As more and more clues start piling up, the cops begin to realize that the suspect could be anyone, and it can be no one. The suspect could be right in front of them, or he could be somewhere down the street. Number 7. Serial Experiment LAIN. The story of Serial Experiment LAIN is an interesting complex one to say the least. It starts off by a student committing suicide, saying she does not need to exist in this world anymore. The following day the students receive an email from the dead student, and at first they think it is spam mail, but that turns out not to be the case. Pretty much the whole show revolves around the Wired, or their version of a more advanced internet, and how humans use it as a form of communication. In short, it's an anime that will really mess with your mind. Number 6. Flowers of Evil. Once in a while comes an anime series that completely negates the norms and dares to experiment with styles and themes that other shows have not touched before. The Flowers of Evil is such a show. Flowers of Evil follows the story of a Japanese high school boy named Kasuga, who is in love with his classmate Saeki. During a moment of weakness, he steals her sports uniform. That is how the class's outsider and problem child Nakamura, who witnessed him doing it, finds an opportunity to bully him, supposedly to bring out his true colors, those of a dark soul and complete degenerate. The story develops in slow. Flowers of Evil takes its time to set up a mood using long shots of inanimate scenes and barely moving characters. Even though numerous viewers complained, I found it to be essential to the pacing of the story. By slowing down the rhythm, the viewer is allowed time to process the characters' feelings and empathize with them. Besides, the very purpose of the show is not to wow fans with extraordinary, flashy animation. By making the characters ordinary, plain, and to some extent unattractive, by anime standards, it amplifies the message it wishes to demonstrate: the dark side that lies in every single one of us. Focusing in no more than 3 main characters also contributes to this goal. The viewer gets to experience them up close, yet without learning too much about their personal histories. There are no emotional flashbacks to Nakamura's childhood to justify her problematic behavior. There is only a what you see is what you get type of relationship with her, very much like in real human relationships. The characters are unlikable, and to some extent stupid, but this is the whole point. They are people like us, flawed and overwhelmed with uncontrollable emotion. Number 5. Tokyo Ghoul. Kaneki Ken is an average quiet college freshman who loves reading books and hanging out with his only friend, Hide. The Tokyo they live in is going through a quiet chaos created by human, look-alike people called ghouls, who live among humans, but feed on their flesh. Kaneki doesn't have anyone, no family, and only Hide for a friend, which probably makes him the perfect target, because nobody will ask about this kid. When he goes on his first date with the girl he likes, he has no idea his life is about to change forever. It is after that night, and after he is attacked, that Kaneki receives a transplant and becomes a half-ghoul. He's been human all his life, and now one of the basic needs for him to survive has become killing people and eating them. Ghouls cannot eat anything but human flesh. Not only human food tastes horrible to them, but it also makes them ill. Ghouls are pretty much hunted by investigators in Tokyo, so Kaneki has to hide his new self, even from his only friend Hide. Hide is food now, so what happens if Kaneki starves himself to insanity? Slowly, the story turns into a character study. How far does it take for the innocent to break? Number 4. Death Note. Death Note is one of the best dark psychological thrillers out there. It stands out for its execution, direction, and storytelling. It follows the life of a high school student called Light Yagami, and how he is completely frustrated with the world and how society actually treats its people. One day Light ends up with a death note, which has the power of killing people once their name is written on it. Dropped by a Shinigami called Rook, he is made responsible for his action, and the other Shinigamis asks him to take the note back before it is too late. With Light handling the death note, he announces the power of controlling the whole world by declaring himself to be Kira, the killer god. This anime is a must-watch if you are going for something fantastic. Since every bad deed has an end to it, Light's activities are marked by the best detective of all time known as L, and he sets out to find the real killer, and his reasons of doing these. This anime is just a mere chase between Light and L, and how these two intelligent subjects are made the most important plot of the whole show. Number 3. Terror in Resonance. Tokyo has been decimated by a terrorist attack, and the only clue to the culprit's identity is a bizarre internet video. No one paid much attention to the video when it first appeared. Posted by 2 masked boys who referred to themselves as Sphinx, it warned of a coming darkness in Tokyo, and of a violence to follow. But Sphinx's words turn out to be prescient, as their video is quickly followed by a bombing that brings down a major skyscraper. High schooler Lisa is almost caught in that bombing, but finds herself saved by the terrorists themselves. But what do these two violent boys want, and how far will their violence go? With the fate of Japan hanging in the balance, and ugly secrets waiting to be uncovered, the police will have to race to find the truth before Sphinx bring everything tumbling down. Number 2. Perfect Blue. Featuring the only movie in the list, Perfect Blue holds a good reputation in the world of psychological thrillers. Perfect Blue asks the question, what happens when you lose control of your avatar? When your avatar becomes an entity in your life and shapes who you are. Perfect Blue follows the life of Mima, who was a pop idol, worshipped by the masses until fashion dictated otherwise. In order to salvage her career, she is advised to drop music and pursue acting. A soap opera role is offered, but Mima's character is less clean-cut than desired. Regardless, she agrees and events take a turn for the worse. Mima begins to feel reality slip around her, that her life is not her own. She discovers a mirror image of herself that hasn't given up singing. Internet sites appear describing every intimate detail of her life, and a figure stalks her from the shadows. Her friends and associates are threatened and killed as Mima descends into a dangerous world of paranoid delusion. She fears for her life and must unravel fact from illusion in order to stay alive. Before we go to number 1, here are some honorable mentions that demand your attention.
This time to see if you really can't die.
Have you ever seen a black ghost?
Then, let's begin.
Today is just another day here. Nothing changes for the better in this cradle, which was built amidst the environmental destruction that now surrounds our planet. A boring paradise.
いい年して金も稼げない奴は人間として失格だ。
しがない漫画を描いてるだけの男が何言ってる。
自分には人間の生活というものが
Number 1. Monster. Monster structures the life of Dr. Kenzu Tenma, a famous brain surgeon, who has excelled in his field with his proper researches and theories from time to time. However, he faces a critical situation with the choice of saving the life of a child and the life of the mayor when presented. He decides to save the child to reason his morals. Later he finds out that the child he has saved has turned out to be a well-known criminal. Monster is a dark psychological thriller, which lets you understand the true sense of human, and how worth it is to dive into our own morals. Monster is a unique way of telling people that the monster we search under our beds is really within us. The characters are given the strength of life, frightening choices, and how they are interwoven together makes this anime a better go for all viewers out there. Let us know which one is your favorite. Like, subscribe and share for more.